guys, thanks for watching the Blown Away channel. Today we're going to talk about hauling out in Colombia, and we're going to share our haul out experience with you and give you 6 reasons why you should choose Portobello over Ferroalquimar.
We are making great progress, a lot slower than we thought because we had to shut down our starboard engine. It is vibrating violently and we think we might have caught a line or a bag on it. So to just be safe, we've shut it down, but that means we are only going 2.5 knots. So this is taking a lot longer than we thought it would. The yard that we're going to is very close, within shooting distance now. Travel lift is ready for us. We are really pleased with Portobello thus far. They've been great, really professional, extremely helpful, great communication.
You appreciate detailed information, useful things for you as a cruiser. We would appreciate it if you would subscribe to our channel, hit that like button, make sure you share. We'd love to hear from you. We want to thank all of our patrons, check them out right here, for joining our Patreon group. We enjoy that special relationship with you. Thank you so much. Back to the haul out. When we came here, we only heard of Ferroalquimar. They've been in business for 25 plus years. They've got the big reputation. They've got great ratings online. So we initially booked with them. But friends also told us to consider Portobello. Portobello had been open for about 10 months by that point, and early when they were open, they opened up in January, I think. They got some bad ratings online, and that initially scared us off until we had some friends that went ahead of us to Ferroalquimar, and many red flags popped up. Not only was the work not going according to schedule, and the quality of the work was not good. Lots of red flags were popping up, so we're like, oh, we're dumb but not stupid. Let's reconsider Portobello. And then we had a fellow cruiser that was at Club de Pesca. He's a single-hand sailor. He was hauled out at Portobello, and he asked if we could come over and help him to crew his boat back to Club de Pesca. And so we did, and this was a real eye-opener. So upon checking Portobello out, for many reasons we were impressed. This place was totally different than the online reviews, and so we asked them to give us a quote. We were talking to the decision makers, and they found room for us within a 4-day period. Turnaround, we canceled at Ferroalquimar and then came to Portobello, and boy were we glad that we did that. Guys, stay with us on this video. We're going to give you all the juicy details and information that are going to be important to you, the reasons why we made this decision, the reasons why it was a really good decision, and the reasons why you should strongly consider Portobello when coming to Cartagena to haul out.
Hola, ¿cómo está? ¿Todo bien? Muchas gracias. They're really doing a great job making sure that they pick the boat up in the right place and also have the right location for blocking once it gets on the hard. They're taking their time to really make sure it's right. Really appreciate that.
It's time out of the water, and 2 years. Actually, a little more than 2 years.
All right, she's going up.
Dirty bottom, dirty bottom. Man, look at that stuff. You wonder why this is clean right here. Look at this stuff. Woo! It is thick. The good thing is the paint has held up really well. You have to get this off today before it dries. When it gets dry, it gets really tough to get it off, and you got to have a good scraper tool.
Vladimir here is doing an amazing job finding the right place, and when we were in the water, we marked where the strap should be. You can see that he did not put the strap there, and the reason was because he said you're not going to be able to block it when we get to land. It's going to be a problem. Now he's trying to find the exact spot to be able to block it so that there's enough support for the boat once they let the straps go loose. Ah, we're finally firmly blocked, and this is our view.
Okay, let's now talk about the 6 areas that we use to compare Ferroalquimar with Portobello.
The 6 areas are communication, location, living on the hard, the facility, staff, and the quality of work. I started communicating on WhatsApp with Ferroalquimar, and I never even got a response. So our friends who booked ahead of us, they had the same experience, and so they went to Ferro and booked in person. We decided to do the same thing, which was the first red flag for us. Secondly, when we did go to Ferro and putting a deposit down, we had asked multiple times over email for a quote, and we were sent 3 or 4 different quotes, and they were all wrong. They had gotten our boat mixed up with other boats. So that was a second red flag. In person, we asked for an accurate quote, and we were told that it was impossible to give one because they had to measure our boat once we were hauled out of the water. That doesn't seem reasonable. They had worked on 44s before. They should be able to give an accurate quote. With Portobello, we literally were talking to them 4 days prior to going to Ferro, and they were instantaneous in their communication. Luis was absolutely amazing, and he was able to get us a quote in writing within 24 hours. That alone made me feel so much better about choosing them. Also, when we went to help Michael with his boat, both Luis and Diego, who is the commercial ally for fiberglass and painting, spent a lot of time with us, just talking to us and answering questions. They were absolutely fantastic. They both spoke fluent English, and their communication was superb. They really made us feel at home.
So let's talk about location, the difference between the two. First of all, Ferroalquimar is in a much more remote industrial location. There is nothing around it, not really any hotels, no restaurants, except for the one on location, which is lunch only. You can spend the night on your boat, but it is so hot that you're gonna die. So every single night, you're gonna wanna go back and forth from a hotel, and they're not anywhere around. It's extremely difficult to get an Uber or a taxi cab, and it's also not safe. Portobello, on the other hand, is much closer to Cartagena proper, and although you're not at this moment allowed to spend the night on your boat, and trust me, you don't want to, because you can't use the air conditioning, there is a very reasonable hotel just right across the street. Plus, it's a lot easier to get an Uber going into town if you're going to meet friends, if you need to shop for marine store items, or go to a restaurant. That is a huge reason to choose Portobello.
All right, let's talk about living on the hard. First of all, Ferro does allow you to live on the hard with the hard hats on all the time. But when we toured their facilities, their bathroom was only half finished and it was really dirty. There was no air conditioning. There were mosquitoes everywhere in it. It really was not a place that we wanted to spend the night. In comparison, at Portobello, we were not able to spend the night, but we were very happy at the end of the day to get out of the yard and just enjoy an evening without thinking about boat work.
Okay, so let's talk about the difference in facilities. I'll start with Ferro. It's sprawling, there's tons of room, but one of the problems is it's not paved. So basically when it rains, the whole place is just wet, they're just getting muddy. Your shoes are getting wet, you're tracking stuff onto your boat. Not good. It does, however, have a cafeteria, have a marine store, which is a real positive because you can find things that you're working on. So that is a real positive. When you go to Portobello, it's totally different. They have pavers, the entire place. It's much smaller. They have room to expand. They bought the land, they just haven't extended it out yet. But what's there is really nice. There are pavers everywhere, so you're basically working on the hard. There's no mud. There's a nice bathroom facility.
Those are the bathrooms there, and a little snack area. All right, let's talk about the difference in the staff. It was very difficult for our friends to find the person in charge of all of the crews, and all of the crews are subcontracted. So they were very frustrated that work was being done for part of a day or an hour here, an hour there, and then the crews would disappear. There was no accountability. They had to constantly monitor the work that was being completed because it was substandard. The crews were taking shortcuts, or they would start a job and then just leave. And the other thing is they had to ask for the equipment to complete the job. For example, when they were doing the sanding, they asked for sandpaper and the Tyvek bodysuits and masks. They had none of that. It was completely unprofessional and another red flag for us. In comparison, Portobello, all of the staff were present. They were all dressed in uniform. It was really easy to identify them. And the administrative staff, Luis and Diego, were always walking around the facility. We never had to look for them. And if we did, we could send them a text and they would be out to our boat in a few minutes. When we ran into issues, for example, we had an issue with our sail drive, Luis was immediately present and was able to make a phone call to one of the mechanics that he knew that had a great reputation and had booked him for the next morning. The service was incredible at Portobello. The crews worked full days. The only break they took during the day was to have lunch. They were reliable. Yes, we monitored everything they did, but really, they were being monitored by their boss. It is morning at the boatyard, and it is our first morning here after haul out. And this morning, they are prepping for sanding, but as you can see, it looks really, really good. They did a power wash yesterday. They're just sweeping up all of the stuff that was under the boat yesterday.
So you can see right here, the white underneath here is the anti-osmosis coat. We use Seahawk Tough Stuff, which is a high build epoxy, and that's the white stuff. The blue is the first layer of bottom paint. This was Seahawk BioCop, and you can see here where most of it is unsanded, sanded, unsanded, and then the top right here is the top coat, which is also Seahawk BioCop. They've done some wet sanding. They're going to let it dry. It's really important that it be dry to get good adhesion. They're going to use like an industrial paint thinner to clean all the dust off and also etch the surface, and then they'll go to the bottom paint. So one of the great things about wet sanding is that instead of all of that copper and toxic stuff ending up in the air, here it's down instead of floating all over the boatyard, contaminating paint jobs. So the quality of the work at one place versus the other, Ferro, luckily we never found out. We learned through our friends that that's definitely not the place to go to. because it's just not well managed. Our friends, having similar to the same work done, were on the hard for 10 days. They were frustrated, just bewildered, until finally they caused such a stink that management came to the rescue. And you know, that should never have to happen. Right. They also spent a fortune on hotel, extending it out. I think it was like $50 a night, Ubers back and forth. It has this cumulative effect, you know, being on the hard, and just the experience, you want it to be done and over with as quickly as possible. Ultimately, they got the work done, but just after a lot of pain and misery. Portobello is what we can really speak about, and the quality of the work and the professionalism was very high. They were organized there. The subcontractors were well managed, and they were motivated. The work was finished on time, almost ahead of schedule in 4 days. We got in there. 4-day turnaround is unheard of for all the work that they did. And also, there were no cost overruns, no big surprises. There was no gotcha. Back in the water and back to Cartagena with big, huge smiles on our face.
The team has started on the second coat of anti-fouling. One final touch up with paint and we're done. Should take them about 15 minutes to complete that. The lift is gonna come around the boat now and be ready for tomorrow. Straps are ready to go on. The travel lift is here, and tomorrow morning we splash. It's getting late. Everyone's getting giddy. It's been a long day, but they're still painting.
Trabalho mi pintura família de Colombia.
Hola, buenos dias. Oh, this is it. She's going back in the water today. Final application of the paint in the last few spots. All right, we are on the move. It's been an amazing stay here. Everyone from the administrative staff to the trabajadores, all the workers have been incredible. We're so grateful. Portobello is a gem, an absolute gem. We hope you enjoyed our video and found the information to be useful. We look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks so much for watching.